just the same as last year. This is such a crunch period for us, this fall period heading in towards winter, and we're trying to get through these metal roofs as fast as we possibly can. You know, we got a bunch of stuff going on. We have some prep work we want to do for a future building and for a parking site up above the chicken house, work in the field that we've been trying to work, and you know, there's a rock that I have my eye on that I want to show you. There's a lot going on, and sometimes when you're in that kind of a mindset, things can happen that you don't expect, and this week is definitely an example of just one of the things that can go wrong. So I ended up cutting the wrong end of that that specialty cut and fold up, and left myself just enough room that I could demonstrate that I'd made a mistake. So here it is in place, slid up underneath this piece. You know, it's got that fold up that goes up and then out, and that way water is going to go like this and can't get up into there under any circumstance. Remember, we left, if you went back far enough in videos, you'd see that we left enough clearance that I wasn't going to scratch that the whole way through. You can really see it right there. It's not laying flat to the surface right there, but once I put two top screws, two face screws in, you'll see it just fine. And then again, the whole thing just looks like this, whole way up. Nice little bend up piece. Good support for this. It's about the right height. Cap is going to be over it, but it's going to look as though they're all meeting at the same point. I might have gone just a hair up that way. I think it looks just fine, and all the rest will follow in its footsteps. My friends and I here agree that once you attach a foam closure to that space, it's not going to have any problems. Isn't that right, guys? Just when you're wanting to go fast, seems like something's got to happen, right? It's been about a year now since my last big injury working on the house. I think it must have just been time. So, yeah, we're going to the hospital. Exciting. Caught myself falling off the roof, and I grabbed a spot that was a sharp spot. Cut farther than I've ever seen inside of my own body. So that's exciting. Here we go. So we're transferring now. We just waited 4 hours at the ER at the local hospital and made a bunch of calls, and apparently it's a very busy day in the world of people being hurt. So we're gonna go move now over to a urgent care, and hopefully they can see us faster, because the hospital we're at is unable to give us even an estimate of when they will be able to see me. And I know that they do, you know, triage, and I saw on their computer screen that they marked me as a 4, and there were a lot of people marked as 2s and 3s, so it could be hours before someone sees my hand. So evening time now, and we are back, and we did end up getting seen after about an hour and a half of being at the urgent care. So pretty much the whole day waiting for this to be looked at. Here's my hand. They basically found one of the cuts was through multiple layers of tissue, but not quite to the bone. I don't know what that white stuff I saw was, but that freaked us out so much. The other two, by the time they finally had seen us, I've been holding my hand. We washed it really good with peroxide, and I've been holding my hand, you know, really still for hours and hours. And they had actually started to heal up, so they just gently cleaned around them and called those good. And then the deep one, they did stitch, cleaned it, stitched it. So I am on a 10 to 14 day road to being able to use this hand extensively again. And in the meantime, my brother has offered to help with the roof, and then Casey will help with the roof, so that we can hopefully get these, keep moving along before the weather really stays poor, and we'll take it one day at a time. I'll do what I can without stressing it too much. So next day, after I jumped off the roof, I didn't fall, so I'm assisting Casey anyway, and this is where we are with the roof. You can see we've got like one piece left on this side in the corner there. So this ladder right here, I had leaned up against the house right here, and I was using it to get up onto the roof, down off of the roof, up onto the roof, and to work on what's here in the corner. And we, Casey was up on the roof with me. She was working on that side, as you'd seen. And I went to get down off of the roof, taking my time slowly, you know, had both hands on the roof, trying not to fall, of course. And the ladder, I stepped down 2 steps. So I was on the 3rd rung coming off the roof, and I looked at Casey. The ladder had just shifted just a hair, and I stared at her for a second, and she looked at me like, "What are you doing, you weirdo?" And then, you know, we had that comic moment where the ladder suddenly just falls, and like the lower half of me like goes whoosh, and the top half of me is kind of just hanging there. You know, and the ladder is way down like this against the wall, and I hanging off of one of these finished ribs, and then unfortunately the Z, is what they call them, the Z metal. You can kind of see that right there, how sharp that is, up right at the corner. That goes up at an angle, and that's the other part that I grabbed. And so I'm just hanging there, and I don't want to jump down and land on the ladder and break a leg or something. So Casey had to run down through the house. And so by the time, you know, she booked it, once she, you know, took a second for both of us to register what was even happening. And, you know, she said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I need you to get that ladder out from under me. So she ran down, got the ladder out from under me. And then I basically just jumped down. I did not fall. I jumped, you know, and just jumping down from there, obviously not that far. And so I, you know, felt like I landed pretty well until I looked at the hand and then realized, you know, oh my gosh, is that bone? Spoilers, it ended up not being bone, thank goodness. None of the tendons are damaged, the ligaments aren't damaged. There's a little bit of nerve loss, sensation in the fingertip, and she said that may come back. It may take a long time. I have had a metal cut before on my finger, just like a small slice, and it took years to get full feeling back in that spot, so who knows. What was your experience yesterday with Daddy hurting himself? What did you guys think? What did you guys do?
I thought that the roof was wet.
You thought it was wet and that's why it was a problem? Yeah. What about you, Clarky? What did you think?
I thought the roof was sharp under pressure.
So, you know, this could have been so much worse. And you know, Casey's comment was, you know, at least it wasn't the top roof. Now, it'd be a different story for a top roof because I was strapped in on the top roof. I don't know if I would have been in the equivalent situation and getting down onto a ladder. I probably would have already unhooked myself. So, you know, bottom line is it could have been a lot worse, and we're very thankful that it is just essentially 2 lost weeks of full productivity. And we're going to push forward just with what we have as is. So up in the field, up yonder, when we first walked this place, I'd seen this rock and I'd never gotten around to investigating it closer. And the boys and I have discovered that it's a great big chunk of what I believe to be granite. It's beautiful, and so we're trying to get this mud off so that we can see, you know, more of the detail, but it's got some great color. So this piece of granite came from our field, and it's 100 feet plus up at the top of the hill from the surrounding landscape. And granite is, of course, shale or sandstone that got superheated under pressure deep in the earth, usually, is my understanding, and then somehow makes it up to the surface. Earthquakes, volcanoes, tectonic activity of some kind, I guess. But how? I mean, we're not on a volcano, and we're way above the ground level. My guess, and maybe somebody else has a better idea, my guess is that this probably is from the Missoula floods that came down the Willamette Valley, and maybe they were up to the top of our hillside at 100 feet above the surrounding land. So the boys said that they'd gotten everything scrubbed that they could, and it wasn't enough, so we chose to use the pressure washer. Really wanted to see what this rock looks like. And here you go. Beautiful color. Look at that. Kind of, I think this is granite. Like, it almost looks quartzy. but I'm not a geologist. Still, look at that color and really pretty. Probably what we'll do with it is we'll find, you know, some place that's prominent, but not likely to have the kids run into it. You know, flower bed right by where we're parking or something like that, and make it a display. I'd like to like get something and cut one like side of it and just have it be, you know, like a smooth surface, but maybe we'll just leave it as is. Farm's been kind of quiet. We haven't had hardly anything to do since the pigs have been gone. Chickens are still here for now, but won't be for much longer. So we're still, you know, coming out and feeding them and checking on their water, kitchen scraps for them. So about all the, you know, other than checking their feed, all the interaction that they need. So with my hand in the condition it's in, you know, I really have to think through what tasks I can do and what tasks I can't. And, you know, one thing the boys always love is tractor rides. So we spent some time yesterday working on this field up here. Not 100% the way it's going to be. This big little hillock right here needs smoothed that way. There's a trough above it. There's a tree stump, big one there, and a lot of little stuff like these hazelnut bunches that I'm gonna rip out. But all the garbage is now way down there at the end, just waiting for me to rent excavator, and I'll grab it by bunches and throw it on the other side of the fence and then push everything that way when we go to do that side and just make a big pile on the far side. It's not something I want to burn because, you know, I know there's little bits of poison oak in there, and I just don't want to deal with that. I'd rather not chip it either. So probably what we'll do is we will make a pile of everything that is infested like that on the far side and then just bury it. There's a couple of depressions in the hill that I can put it into, and then, you know, any dirt from anything I'm moving around, or just dig a hole and bury it in the hole, honestly. I'm going to try and make sure that anything that I know is not infested with poison oak branches gets chipped or burned, hopefully chipped, like we did the first year here. And then that way we'll have, you know, a good use for it. It won't take up so much space. But it's dangerous to burn something with poison oak in it. We also spread most all of this stuff that we got from the neighbor up through here. A little bit more to push back, but I'd like to go through and finish. Like, there's some little bitty bits of poison oak, long dead now, up through there that I'd like to cut down and get them out, last few branches out, and then it'll just be this corner that's covered, but, you know, still it's nice, you know, free for us, just some work that needed done. Now, and while I'm up here, it's time for the weekly question answering of what has my squirrel / younger child brought up here that's shiny, and or where are his shoes? So we've got pieces off of the livestock trailer. Great, good stuff, good to lose. Definitely don't need those. We've got one of my hammers. Let's see, tomato cages in the sandbox. That's good. Oh, and there's the squirrel himself. Hi, little squirrel.
Is it?
It's you. You're the squirrel.
No.
He also likes to wear shoes up here because we insist, and then take them off and refuse to put them back on. So here's the collection that I'm gathering for the day. We have sandals. We have around the house shoes. We have his boots. What do you think about that? Dark day, rainy day in the house, and trying to do what I can with my hand still not supposed to be using it. And I'm not smart enough to follow that completely, but in the past I have done way too much with injuries of similar nature and regretted it. You know, it just takes longer for everything to get better, and sometimes, you know, makes it all worse. So what we're doing is stuff that I can do like this. Minimal use of the hand. I was able to finish drilling out all of the holes all along both sides here. This side was where we finished today. And I was able to cut the mesh that I'm going to be using to cover the holes so that we don't get a bunch of critters in. Shop vac helped me get it all cleaned up when I was done. I have a whole bunch of little rounds, which are great toys for the kids. Who knows, maybe I'll use them for wobbly wheels for some kind of a tractor or something. And now I am working on installing the mesh that I've cut. I did have to get ear protection for this because yes, it is actually quite loud. Got my faithful Stanley stapler, which has been around forever and I don't like it. Not because it's Stanley, but because that style is hard on the wrist. But it's what I have. And yes, it's in very dark up here. Just get a good coverage over all of them. And then, let's see if I can get you some kind of view here. Once I got one staple in there, then it's pretty easy to control. I'm just going to go from the interior hole, staple all around, go to the next one of the outsides. And yeah, stapling all around means that you don't have any grooves. Can't see them, but I'll just have to ask you to trust me on that. You don't have any grooves where there's a spot that bugs can crawl back out through. It's flat to the board. Got some wind going on today, knocking branches down. That thing is no longer on the tree, and a little break in the weather in the afternoon, so Casey is out here handling the metal for me so I don't have to put a lot of pressure on my poor little injured hand. And she is wearing gloves like a smart person.
Like a person who just saw their husband's hand get cut off.
Well, you know. That's why God gives you two hands, right? So close. So we had a nice break in the clouds today. And this is the result. We are very close now to being ready to put the two hip caps onto this bad boy. And yeah, we have this side done too. Check that out, best you can see it. So, waiting on those two pieces there. And you can see we've got a bunch of these pieces out. And this often happens, I feel, when someone else does your ordering for you. So we didn't need any of these, that, and there's two there and two there and there, so there's 5. You know, so I mean, you're talking about almost 8 feet worth of metal. All of it over 8 feet long, so 8 feet of width. And you know, a lot of it's just they order extra long to make sure, and we'll end up with a couple of pieces short on the bottom, I'm thinking, because I just whatever piece of metal was the shortest piece of metal that I could make work for each spot, that's what I used. And so you know, the nice thing is we'll be able to, you know, finish this out, finish the next one out, and then have maybe one more sheet that we need ordered. Hopefully, I mean, different paint runs should be close enough that we won't be able to tell, but hopefully. And then, you know, we can have our little extra roof that comes off of this whiteboard here under the eave. It's going to come out. It's going to be 8 foot wide. It's going to come out this way, and that will protect that little door from the weather. Once the metal ridge cap is on, we're moving on to gutters. It's supposed to be a thunderstorms day, and we haven't actually heard any thunder, but we did get lucky and have a break in the weather. It's looking pretty much like it's about to start raining again, so we're going to go ahead and call it for the day. And you know, it's just been one of those weird days where you get some luck and some not luck. Casey went to pick some apples at the bottom of the driveway, and one of the apples went right in her eyeball, fell off from a branch above her. So we're going to enjoy that apple with extra zeal. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and I hope you have a great day. See you next time.